1. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of the X Button, Season 5, Episode 18. I am your host, Alejandro, with me, back to my 2-week rotation with my lovely guest here, the red-bearded sensation.
Joe LaRussa, everybody. How you doing?
Doing good. And the master of hats.
Rick, how's it going?
Pretty good. Good to see you guys. It's been you guys got a little bit bigger of a week off. Last week, obviously, Rick, he tried to be with me last week when I recorded with Paul, but kind of like the schedule didn't allow it for that. And then Joe had was it a birthday
No,
anniversary or just
we just
chilling?
had dinner plans that night because we had to push the recording a day early because of your El Salvador Labor Day, I think is what you said it was.
May 1st.
Yeah, so we had dinner plans that night because we were getting ready to leave from Florida to come back up here to, as you can see, my normal setting in Rochester.
Yeah, you're back at your PT hallway. Good to see you.
I am, yes. My PT hallway with a nice can of Olipop over there that my girlfriend left on the couch.
I swear.
Hopefully a centered television.
Yeah.
Again, the TV is centered. I had it angled so that I could see the TV. So we're clear.
That picture completely broke me. I was even knowing that what it was, I could not unsee it after that. I'm like this is agonizing to look at.
And what's funny, Rick, is because he also shared that picture at these as a season gaming channel. It broke their minds too. That's what's so funny.
When they showed it on Bitcast, Silken had messaged me. Silken had messaged me. He goes, "What is that?" And I was like, "Well, there's a little more to it than you realize." Because Ains had said it was on a swivel, but he didn't show like the video that Joe sent. So
I didn't send the video to them, I don't think. I posted it afterwards. I showed it after that episode. I was like, no, okay, everyone needs context here, and I shared it afterwards. But yeah, I sent it to you guys.
As much as we all laughed, the actual internet would have torn you to pieces over that.
No matter how many explanations you would have done, people would not have seen it. You know how the internet is, but that's still such a funny thing. But I know you did.
The funny part was how apparently Paul didn't even notice it until I said something. I'm like, how did you not see that? That's the first thing I saw.
Yeah. What's funny is that I noticed it, but I didn't want to say anything because I was focusing on his Funko Pops or your figurines at the bottom. So
it's just one. It's just Sora. It's not a Funko. It's an amiibo. It's the Sora amiibo.
That's why hey, cool, you got these Sora amiibo.
I have that right about there, maybe somewhere on there. Yeah, I got a bunch of amiibos on there, but
Rick,
when I saw that picture and thought that it was just an off-center TV, my eyes started twitching. I'm like I can't do this.
So Rick, you know how the amiibo, this is the back of the box and this is the container, this is what it looks like. It's it's like box back, and then this is the place where the amiibo is.
I don't know what the hell you're trying to say now.
So this is how it goes. The box back was like this. It was almost opened. It was almost fully open when it arrived. I was so angry. I would have been so mad if it arrived open.
I think that's how my Ridley came, but I didn't care. I opened them all anyway. So I actually threw away the boxes to those. I had no intention of keeping them in the box. So
yeah, I just was leaving it in there because I wasn't planning on opening him, and he's still there, and it's fine. But it's just that so close to being open thing. I was, oh man. And that was an Amazon order. That wasn't. We can't even blame GameStop this time. That was Amazon.
Oh yes, but there's plenty of blame you can throw your GameStop, but not me because they're the reason why I got a Switch 2. So, but enough of that.
I think your brother-in-law is the reason you got a Switch 2. Let's give credit where it's due.
I know that's the thing. He tried with the other sites and it didn't work, and he went to GameStop and they had it. So
yeah.
For this, I get a little bit of a truce to GameStop, though. They're still in the shit list.
Mighty Keith is actually why I got mine. He on Saturday, not this last Saturday, the one before, which was just 2 days after I had spent, had a good rant on here about how much I hated trying to get it. I woke up in the morning at, I don't know, 7:30, whatever time it was, and I just happened to scroll through Twitter, and I saw Mighty Keith had posted that Walmart had some available, and that was 45 minutes before. Well, I guess it's worth a try, and I went, and they were still there, and I actually managed to get one to go through.
Joe, you got one from Walmart too, the one that you made.
But his was at midnight. Mine was at 7 a.m.
It was like 1 or 1:30 a.m. Yeah, it was late. It was 8 seconds after Wario 64 had posted that Walmart was having checkout successful for people. I was like, oh. And then I just went and I got the extra one, which obviously was going to go to Paul.
I went on to be excited, and then I happened to see Joe's thing. I'm like, well, I guess it's okay that I didn't know this because I managed to get one because of it. But
yeah, I remember
it's
that was
good
so
because
funny.
now everyone has one for the podcast. So
Yeah, so we can all cover Switch too, like however you want now. Like the FOMO didn't hate it. Like the FOMO got us all. But yeah, we're
like I said, for me it's a combination of I want to play some of the games I already have on a better version, and then also my girlfriend will use it on her own. So it works.
Outside of the girlfriend part, that's more where I am. I'm most excited to play Tears of the Kingdom running better.
Yeah, I'm excited to replay those too. But enough of that
I'm not
because
gonna replay.
yes, well, you didn't even really play them either. But enough of that because
I played Breath of the Wild all the way. I
enough of that because this is the X Bottom Podcast, Escapes Gaming Podcast that posts every Fridays from 10 a.m. onwards, God willing, available on the YouTube channel Escape Gaming as well as most audio services around the world, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. You can find links in the RSS feed at tinyurl.com/escape gaming. If you enjoy our show, give us a like and subscribe, and a little tiny housekeeping. I'll be at Rick's show the day this posts. So over at the Sprayed in the Nerd podcast.
That will be May 9th, 2000. I would say 2005, 2025, 7:30 p.m. EST. We do it live on YouTube, and I do not expect we are going to have very many, if any at all, people in there. Yes. So feel free to show up. Yeah, everybody that would be there is packed, which is why. So, Jesus Christ, I can't talk. Which is why Alex is going to be there tomorrow.
Yes.
5 would not have been wrong to say, Rick, because May is the 5th month, so you could have been saying the numbers. 5, blah blah blah.
Yes, but time to talk about what we've been playing. Yeah, time to talk about what we've been playing. Joe, you finished Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I told you last night, if you didn't finish it, I wouldn't let you talk about this, but you finally did. So
I did finish it. This game is very long.
How many hours did it say in your save?
So my save file says like 119 and change. My Steam account says 181. And the truth is somewhere in there between leaving the game running and save scumming all the time. I did a completionist run. I did every single side quest. I didn't like run and get every point of interest because it's like there's nothing there at the points of interest all the time, just loot. So like I didn't run and do that, but I did all the quests, all the activities, and this all the side content, did the whole main story. And how long to beat says the game is 125 hours completionist on average from the people. So I would gather I'm probably somewhere around 125 to 135 in there between all the save scumming and things like that, because I did a lot. I did a lot of that. I know that kills Rick to hear. Rick's not a big fan of the save scumming.
Well, but that's okay. It depends on the game, and that's a game where I just do not understand why you would do that. Because it's kind of generally bitter on the idea of if you fail something, it has branching to go a different direction. But
I know.
To each his own. It's like the people that save scummed Baldur's Gate 3. It's like at that point you shouldn't play the game.
I did that.
That's absolutely insane.
That is the one that I actually find to be offensive.
Yeah. That
is literally the point of that game.
Yeah,
I have hundreds of save files, Rick, in there. I was saving all the time.
I couldn't that. Literally broke me.
Don't ever actually play D&D then, Joe.
Yes,
you would lose your mind.
That's the thing is actual D&D is more fun to have random things happen, but games are not because actual D&D, the story is being told by you as the group and the dungeon master and all these people, and you're having a collective good time together. But the story in Baldur's Gate is set, and so there is a good and bad way for things to go, and it's predetermined. So for me, I want to see the good path of these games, and I will reload until I get there. And the fact that they have those alternate paths for failures and stuff is really cool. But that's not the way that I want to see the game. And if I ever did a replay, I would just go through and see what happens, because that would be the fun of it. But
it feels like it defeats the purpose. To me,
I can understand that. I like first time through games to be perfect runs, or as close to perfect runs as possible. Dragon Age Origins, my favorite game of all time. I did the best I could to have that perfect, and then I played it a couple, 1 or 2 more times, and then just before Inquisition came out, before they had announced the Dragon Age Keep, I went through and I did a perfect run where I had 20 different tabs open to make sure I had a perfect save file ready to import, again, not knowing the Keep was going to be a thing at the time. But so that's how I play. So I did beat the game. I loved it. It's amazing. It's so funny and charming, and it's it's got some weird jank to it, but it's never really broken at the same time, which is really good because KCD 1 was broken in some
especially
instances.
at launch. That game was barely playable at launch.
Yeah, and this one is not that. It still has that, this is a small team trying to go for a big idea feeling to it, but they just did such a phenomenal job. I really, really enjoyed playing this game. I'm glad it's done. I'm glad I can get back to Assassin's Creed Shadows and start Clair Obscur soon once I finish Shadows or whatnot. But yeah, Alex.
Are you gonna continue Shadows, or are you gonna jump to Clair Obscur? Like right now, now that you finished KCD 2.
The plan is Shadows, generally speaking, but I will probably check out Clair Obscur at certain points. Like, just I'm. This may be an example of me bouncing back and forth. As much as I don't like bouncing back and forth between games, especially on the same console, I may do a little bouncing just to see what everyone's talking about with Clair Obscur. But the general plan is to just keep going through Shadows and do that, because the docket for me is Shadows and Clair Obscur need to be done in this month here, basically, or into early next month, because next month will be Infinite
Mind's
Wealth.
Eye.
It's
in Mind's Eye. You're gonna review Mind's Eye.
No, Mind's Eye is.
Did you say Infinite Wealth?
Yeah, he carved out June to play Infinite Wealth, like, because he does that January and June, kind of like that's what it is. That is Yakuza like allocated time.
Yeah, those are my Yakuza months. Yeah, so that's Infinite Wealth for me. June 10th is Mind's Eye. So so I need to have these games done, and I don't. Mind's Eye is supposed to not be that big from what I understand.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be like a pretty straightforward game. So if we get code for that, I do want to review. I do have dibs on reviewing that one. And I might review it even if we don't get a code for it too. We'll see. But yeah, so between Mind's Eye and Infinite Wealth in June, I want to get Shadows and I want to get Shadows done, and I want to get Clair Obscur done. It's going to be a little tough. I have a few things I'm doing this month that are going to make me a little bit busy, so I may not quite make that deadline, and Infinite Wealth may have to start late June, but we'll see.
Because you've been playing Shadows a lot. Unless you go for the platinum, which I know you've said you can. If you were just to aim to at least just to finish like main story and like side quests and all that, I think you could get it done. And Clair Obscur is not that long either. So
yeah, I'm sure I'll get Clair Obscur done in a reasonable time, but I do plan to get the platinum for Shadows, so that will take a while. The way that I'm doing Shadows is I'm just going and clearing everything that I can find in each region the first moment I set foot in there, and then I just clear the whole thing. And so I'm in the 4th region of the game right now, having cleared the first 3. I think there's 8, right? There's 8 or 10 regions.
I don't even remember at this point.
Yeah, there's 8 or 10. So I'm either in the halfway region or the one before the halfway region, making progress. But again, that's been on pause just the last week or so since I got back.
Yeah.
To finish KCD 2, which again, really phenomenal game. Really glad it exists. I'm excited to get the DLC at some point. I know that they just today announced the DLC for the game is coming out May 15th. Alex was teasing me about that, saying that I wouldn't be done. That I'd have to go back. But no, my plan for the DLC, which I will do because I have the gold edition and everything, is I will wait until all of it's out and they can do all their patches and changes and all the stuff they're going to do, and then I'll dive back in and just put another long play session in for it.
Do we know if the second DLC is also this year, or that might be next year?
The first 3 are all this year.
Oh, okay. I might wait until
I forget the name of this one. It's obviously that's next week.
This is the Devil's Path.
Then it's summer, and then fall is the one where it's or actually might be winter is the one where it's your own forge.
Yeah, I want to beat that game, especially now that we know that what everyone thought deservedly so was going to be shooting for Game of the Year got slipped. We're going to talk about that later in headlines.
Not for me, it didn't. I'll tell you that much. Not even close.
Yes, it's like, I know that's gonna be one of those games that it's gonna be in the conversation. Even now, it is in the conversation. So I want to at least see it through. So at least I can kind of have like more of a basis for it. And I've always said that the little that I played impressed me a lot, especially coming from a lot of janky recent WRPGs. But I might wait for all the DLCs to make that like the time that I jump in later this year.
Yeah, this would be a really good like holiday season game for you to just like dive into while there's not, assuming nothing crazy comes out after Yote, because I think Yote is the latest thing that we have.
Yeah, I might review the Call of Duty because I usually review Call of Duty for the site. But other than that, I have nothing else. So
It's nothing.
exactly.
That's like 6 hours.
That's what I'm saying. That when I'm looking right now at like the outlook of like what the fall is looking like, that's seeming more and more like the KCD2 time for me. But I'm gonna give it its flowers. So Rick, before we talk about the game that we're both concurrently playing,
so you could. There's not a whole lot for me.
Exactly.
To say
yeah. In your tradition of bouncing in between a few games, you went back to God of War 2018 and GTA 5. So
well, GTA 5, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why I did that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, got you in the
mood. God of War, I just felt like doing something different, and oddly enough, it's because you had mentioned about Ragnarok having a pro patch, which I somehow missed. And I started it up to see it, and I was like, this is cool, but if I'm going to do this, I really should start from the beginning, because I had not played 2018 in a while, so I just kind of bounced back, and not much to say there. I mean, it is a 7-year-old game at this point, but that being said, it is impressive actually how well it holds up, especially like not just in a vacuum, but also the fact that it has a obviously in my opinion every way superior sequel that is much more recent, 22, I believe. It's actually pretty amazing how not much of a step down it is. I mean, gameplay definitely is, especially at the beginning where you're pretty limited on what you have, and Ragnarok starts you pretty
with everything almost.
Yeah, well, and even so, you also get the blades much quicker in Ragnarok than you do in 2018. But nonetheless, like, you're not as restricted in moves is what I meant. Whereas you're pretty darn restricted at first in 2018. But I don't remember if playing it on PS5, not Pro, but just PS5, might give it a resolution bump. I know you can play it in 60, whereas you cannot on a
They
PS4.
patched it because originally at the PS5 launch, if you played on the performance mode that was on PS4 Pro, it gave you the 60 FPS, but it was at 1080p. Then they patched it like in early 2021 so that the checkerboard of the fidelity mode of the PS4 Pro could work on the.
Okay, that probably takes or does a good bit in making as to why it looks so good as compared to Ragnarok.
But... And checkerboarding, like what they do, it does like a dynamic res, and because the Pro is more powerful, it allows the checkerboarding to go even higher so that it looks super sharp.
It's basically super sampling as opposed to checkerboarding, right?
Yeah.
Because it does look very good. I mean, again, it does not look as good as Ragnarok, but that shouldn't really surprise anybody. It is 4 years older and a generation of games older, but nevertheless,
I can't believe that it's been 3 years since Ragnarok. That's crazy.
Well, 2.5. I mean, it was the very end of 22.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think 3 years because it's also Horizon Forbidden West and Ragnarok in that same year, and to me, it's like it's been 3 years since Horizon Forbidden West, which is
wild. It's super wild.
That's bananas. Time goes very fast when you get older. I think we fall into a very lucky age where games are taking longer to make, but we're getting older, so time is going faster, so it doesn't feel like it's taking quite so long to make the games.
Yeah,
maybe we're lucky. For Intergalactic and Grand Theft Auto 6.
Those are the only ones.
You could be 150 years old and it still feels like it's taken a million years. But yeah, either way, it's been pretty cool actually. I mean, I've always said that I liked 2018, but I did find it a tad overrated. Not a lot, just a tad. And as we discussed, it is outright offensive that it won Game of the Year in 20 because it was not the best game that year. It wasn't even close to Red Dead Redemption. But it is a fantastic game nevertheless. And it's cool to play. And actually playing it again also reaffirmed what I just said, that it's absolutely not as good as Red Dead Redemption. So it's really insane that it didn't win that year. But that's a different debate altogether.
Oh yes. And I also do find funny that especially you mentioned that how you thought that God of War 20 was just a tad overrated.
No, not much. I'm not Joe here.
Exactly.
I'm not Joe.
I know. I know.
But I don't think it deserved 10s. I think 9 to 9.5, depending on what the scale is, was right. I think 10 is slightly too high.
Yeah, to me, like I think it's like a 9.5 because when you do the platinum run of that game, a lot of the problems in the little things are kind of start popping up more. That is like the people that probably gave it a 10 just did the mainline playthrough and just stopped there. And I could see why just on that be like, this is amazing. And then you start getting deeper into it. It's like, man, it's like the map is kind of hard to read.
The map's really bad. But that said, actually, I am not well, it depends what it is. Some games I'm a completionist. Like a BioWare game, I'm a total completionist in, right? As we discussed in Assassin's Creed, I find it mind-numbing to try to play that to completion. Well, the RPG ones, I did the old ones, but not the RPG ones.
Yeah.
This, however, that actually is one thing that I thought they did a really solid job with in this and Ragnarok. Is it is actually fun to do these as completionist runs because it's not just meaningless nonsense like some of the other games. It actually all ties into the overarching narrative or the lore or the mythology and stuff like that. And I actually like that. And so it's actually kind of fun sometimes to track those down.
And especially in Ragnarok, I feel like not doing the side quests in that one, you're missing like literally
you're
half
missing
the
a
game.
lot.
Yeah.
Especially since the actual true ending is a side quest, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes. But I was just kind of funny mentioning that because it's like funny enough, a game that came out in April in 2018 was overly glazed by the people. It feels like you're having a little bit of deja vu right now.
April. Oh yeah.
Expedition 33 was April too.
I actually think that Expedition is much more overrated than I think God of War was, but I do think they both got a little bit more credit than they deserved.
Yeah. I'm like, the more I'm learning of you, I can kind of see that the more something gets super glazed, I feel like you get like a feral, like you just start kicking in.
That's not like I am not a hipster in that front. Like I mean I love Grand Theft Auto. There's nothing that gets glazed more than Grand Theft Auto, right? And I love it.
The Last of Us.
Oh well. That one very well. I mean, Grand Theft Auto as well, but those ones very much deservedly so. But yes, Naughty Dog games. I mean, you won't find a bigger fan of Naughty Dog games than me.
Yeah, even bigger than me. Yeah, even bigger than me.
Will not. Yeah.
Yeah, even though I'm replaying two Naughty Dog games. Well, I finished replaying one. I'm in the midst of replaying another one, but I just kind of found that funny. There's like two games that came out in April, and it's like having. But I would even say that even I am starting to get annoyed by the discourse around Expedition 33 because I feel
I don't want to sound like I have my issues with the game, but I'm not trying to be overcritical of the game. The discussion around it is out of control. It's just completely nonsensical, and it does not represent what this game is. And I think that is very harmful to the game because when people later, like since I had to join later because of
GameStop screwing you over.
Well, yes, but getting it 4 days later. There is no question that there are people that are excited but maybe can't jump in right away, and they're going to go do it, and they're going to be like, "This just is not as good as the internet is making it out to be." Yes. And it's going to affect their opinion of the game. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
like Joe, I know you don't necessarily care what other people think, but like in your case, when you jump into it later, there is a possibility that hearing about how great it is, you might be like, I don't know, I just don't simply.
Yeah, before we started recording, I was talking with Joe that the thing has heard it both from is the greatest thing since sliced bread to it's okay. So it's like, both of this is like, I don't know.
I hope you're not referring to me because I never said it's okay.
Yeah,
I very much think it is a good game. It is just I'm just saying not the coming of Christ good like the internet.
I'm talking just the general discourse I've seen. Like I've seen it across the spectrum. So like. And the funny thing is, obviously, my opinions on things are unique.
Yes.
So,
that's a way to put it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you embrace it. I love it.
I could love this game, and I could hate this game, and I could fall anywhere in between. I really just don't know. All I can say is I saw the original trailer. It looked awesome. I was like, that's really cool looking. That looks like a really, really interesting premise. And that looks like it may not be the worst turn-based system ever. And then they showed the developer direct with the really cool overworld map, and I like overworld maps sometimes, even though I didn't grow up with overworld maps.
It is easily one of the best, if not the best, turn-based systems. So that part, if you're looking forward to that, you will not be disappointed because it is a good system. And by that, I do not necessarily mean the active element, although I do like that. It's the way that everything is built around buffing and debuffing.
Yes,
that's so smart because so many games don't do that, and that makes it so much more entertaining to do.
And that's that's what's so funny because I've been hearing so many people kind of like one of the complaints I've been seeing love that the turn-based system of this one be like, because you can do parry and dodging, that trivializes the build crafting. I'm like, not even close. Dude, if you like build into the build crafting and the buffs and debuffs and all of that, you don't even have to parry and dodge because like you can really exploit the system. It's super awesome. Like I've been like rocking what they're calling the Mael nuke build because it's like that you just have to kind of like build on her stats and into a specific power that then once you get all the debuffs, you can literally one-shot the hardest bosses, and the game allows you to break it that way. And there's many different permutations that you can
Is
do.
that part of what's being nerfed, Alex?
Yes, because it's like it's becoming so strong. Even though I've been reading, I was kind of like reading before we started recording that people are already kind of planning around like, okay, good thing they're not touching this. They're kind of like just focusing on this and all that.
Their press release, they specifically said our plan is not to take away the ability to break things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that one was overly broken, which is why they're fixing it.
Yeah, it's overly broken. It's just so funny. But it's like that allowed me to kind of speedrun to almost get all the trophies now, because it's very completion is just get all these secret bosses like from later in the game. But to your kind of going back to like where you were saying, Rick, about kind of like the overglazing that will potentially hurt the people that kind of start.
Sure. It might look good on Metacritic and stuff like that. It's not going to be good when people later start to. Maybe this won't be an issue on Xbox where people are obviously playing on Game Pass. It's not like they have to wait to get to it. But on like PlayStation, or I would imagine this will come to Switch too. I would certainly think so. Right? Yeah. People go to play it there and maybe had waited. Some of them may come in and be like, "Oh yeah, this is everybody as good as everyone's saying." And I think some people are going to be like, this is good. This is very good. No question about it. This is 100% not what the internet is saying that it is. Yeah, and I very much am on that side.
And look, think about it this way. It is the highest rated user game in Metacritic's history.
Which is insanity.
Yes.
Which is truly insanity. As good as it is, no matter how much you love it, it is objectively not that. Right? Yes. It is objectively not the greatest game ever made.
Yes. And that's kind of like the thing that annoys me, because to me personally, I beat the game. I've been playing it a lot. I feel the discussion has gotten so out of control that I feel the ability to be able to talk about the game honestly and to be able to just express how deeply this game affected me from its artistry is kind of getting lost in like lost in the shuffle, because this game is such art. I know that sounds pretentious, but art can touch people.
Well, I'll be honest, the game itself is kind of pretentious by design, but it definitely is pretentious.
Exactly. But there's always something about what they say, that art can affect people in different ways. And I feel like a lot of people have really been touched by I call it the apotheosis of a lot of his different elements, from like its artistry, you still haven't heard some of the best tracks. It's out of this world soundtrack from like later in the game, and like touching on something very it's ultimately a very personal story at the end of the day, despite it presenting itself as kind of like a grand adventure. That's kind of something that I know that I talk with Hogue. I've been talking a lot with Hogue about this game because he likes the game a lot. He's just that in the story side of things, he was hoping like world building, towns, like grand stuff and all that. And this definitely
it's not that game. It is not that game at all.
Yeah, it's a game that like plays on mystery of like the weirdness of why this world is like this messed up, or like so weird. Look.
Nothing in any of the stuff I saw, and granted, I didn't see that much. I saw the developer direct in like the reveal trailers, but nothing in anything I saw
suggested that, right?
Me to believe there would be towns in this desolate world being murdered. Like this, like I saw the one hub with the gestrels, and like that I thought, I was like, oh, that's the hub, that's your base, and that's it. Like that's how I took it. And I could be wrong. Again, have not played it, but like. I would never have expected towns and all those things like you're saying.
I suppose it depends on if you came into it knowing that you were in a foreign land the entire time, or if you assumed, because I'll be honest, I was with Hogue. I actually did not think that it would be like this. I'm not criticizing that it is. I'm just saying it's not what I realized. I thought it would be more like you go to this section of whatever, the continent, whatever the hell it's called. Then you maybe return to your base, then you go to this set. Like I thought it was kind of going back and forth and something like that, and it's not that at all. It's like you go there.
Oh, no, the name is Expedition. Expeditions don't usually go home. Usually an expedition goes and then they stop.
Exactly. Like, sorry, say Joe.
I would love to hear Rick and Paul and Hogue and you talk about this. Like we should try and get all of you on. Because it seems like you've got you and Paul on the one side and Rick on the other.
Yeah, I would actually say Hogue is actually probably a little more positive on it even than me. And again, that's this goes back to what you're saying, Alex. As I've said, that's how insane the talk about this has gotten. Is the fact that I'm saying it is a very good game that I have issues with makes it sound like I am the most negative asshole on the internet about it. I'm just doing nothing but shitting on it, and that's just not true. Yeah. Right? It's just that is how out of control the whole discussion.
And you know, and you know why it annoys me that it's gotten so out of control. I would love to openly talk about how the artistry in the middle later of that game, how it really touches into about like the how it painterly touches about topics about grief and dealing with grief and things like that, and how that is accentuated by its art. I feel I can't even talk about that anymore because the thing has gotten so out of control that I feel like even the things that I love about it, like, is gonna get captured by this insanity has been. Because here's what I've been saying, that I feel like the way that this game has touched a lot of people has kind of like also morphed into also the discourse of how impressive people are that this game was built by 33 people and a dog. I read Gene Park's like an interview with like that with the people, kind of like the insane story of how it kind of came together, that it was like the director left Ubisoft because he had this idea and he was bored at the company. He wanted to start this, found
which of course was then used as a reason to shit on Ubisoft, because the internet takes any reason for that to make it fine.
Exactly. And then how like they found the writer of this game like on Reddit, the composer Lauren Anstar, like the director found this composer because he put his samples in SoundCloud, and like he just kind of like reached out to them and did all of that. It's like, it sounds like such an impossible game like in this day and age, and how they've been like praising the fact that it sold a lot. It's in our headlines afterwards. Kind of like, I feel like it came at the perfect storm where it's like, oh yeah, we live in this era where prices of games are going up, the over budgets, like things like are getting super expensive at AAA, and here comes this indie studio delivering a game in this style of game, like looking like this, that hasn't been done in a while, because these kinds of games used to happen in the 360 era. Lost Odyssey.
I was about to say, if everyone thinks it's so great, you didn't play Lost Odyssey though, so it wasn't exactly like you were a champion of this stuff.
Exactly. So
I don't mean you. I'm talking obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I feel like what I love the most about Expedition 33 is that I don't feel it's like the most revolutionary game that exists, but I feel it's like a great consortium of homages to different games.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And does it so well, and also with a combat system that that even though it riffs from like games like Paper Mario, the Super Mario RPGs, and Sea of Stars, because there's like that interactivity, by even going the extra step by getting tiny cues from like Sekiro, let's say, like with the ability to do those parries and dodges. By the way, Joe, if you feel like that may be scary for you, don't worry. It's like the game can still be played just by dodging. The dodging window is like more more generous.
It's a wider window, yeah. But if you do, so the game, just real quick, Don, so you know, the game actually will tell you, like, if you're struggling to parry an attack or whatever,
the dodge,
work on dodging instead, because it will tell you either dodge or perfect dodge. If you got a perfect dodge, you got the parry window. Perfect dodge and parry use the same window, whereas regular dodging has a slightly bigger one.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're going to play it on normal, so it actually has a bigger window to work with as well. When you play it on expert, it narrows the window.
Hey, you were going to say, Joe?
Yeah, I'm just I was talking with my friend Koala, and he was talking about the frame rates of this game, because he's a big PC player for things, and so he was trying to explain to me. I don't think he knew what the rate was. He was trying to figure it out. He was asking me. I didn't have it, but yeah. So
on it's Pro, it's definitely 60.
It's 60, yeah.
Is that it's 30 at quality? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You do want to do this performance. Alex was right.
Yes.
You like this is a game where like that split second timing matters, so you do want to do performance on this.
And I tried the quality mode because I looked at the DF video, and it's the quality mode where you actually see even more visual improvements in the Pro version, because it is using a lot of the UEFI Lumen nanite like lighting tech for that. But it's like the parry window is sometimes so tight that I'm like, you might as well just give yourself the extra frames, and there's no 40 frame mode in this.
It very much does matter here to get those extra frames.
Yeah.
Okay.
But by going back to like that combat system, I feel like just by those tiny additions on top of like the presentation, it's hyper realistic presentation, I feel that has helped a lot of people that usually don't play this kind of game kind of be able to lock in. Like, I've had extensive conversations like outside of our chat with Paul. I have not seen Paul be this mesmerized with a game. And to be fair to you, Rick, it started with him after Act 1. Because he was kind of like the same way with you. I was just kind of chatting with him because I was also kind of later to him, because I was like, Paul, please hurry up. I kept telling him, I was like, please just make it through, because I need to be able to talk about some of these things that I'm seeing. He was like, yeah, just chill. He was like, chill out. I got my baby here. Like, I'm trying to make like progress. It's killing me. I cannot make more progress. And then after he finished with Act One, like Rick finally saw one element of it, why a lot of people were kind of taken.
It was without saying anything. It was a decision I liked. I'll say that.
Yes. Yeah, and
although very much in a different way of why other people would have liked it.
yes, and funny enough, Rick, I was looking back at my chats throughout Act One. I didn't see a peep. I was very.
Oh, like, as in you weren't talking to anybody
yes,
about it, you mean?
Yes. When I look back at like when I've been talking about the game, and me kind of also replaying it on Series X because I installed it there. I've been kind of like trying to see it just to see how it played there for the people who are gonna play it on Game Pass. Obviously, it's better on the Pro, but it's not that bad if you play it over there, even on base PS5. Um, it's like it's enjoyable. The Act One is enjoyable, but it's like the greatness of the beginning. It's its prologue, and then the end of Act One. Not like what's there like at the beginning. It's like that's kind of getting you acclimated. Put some mystery. It's kind of going forward, but then like dare I say the game really starts after Act One based on like a massive gameplay change event. Yeah, that basically kind of puts into focus the game, and that's what's so funny is that I've seen a lot of people like almost universally Act One has gotten them into like like gets them like that. I was like okay, it's like okay, it's like a lot of people have been like very surprised by Act One that way. And that's why I've been like trying to not say what it is. Just kind of just tell people at least just wait until there. I
appreciate it.
Yes. Yes. You probably have no idea what it is, but let's just say that it's
not
like,
a clue. Alex, I couldn't tell you the first thing. There could be an asteroid that lands on the Earth and the paintress is an alien for all I know. Like I have no idea.
Yeah. But that's kind of like where the like the game starts getting great for me. It was from that moment on because I remember that was the first time that something like that's when I started to be like I need to talk to someone about it because that I was not expecting that, and it started going from there. Like the combat gets more even more in depth from that point onward, like introducing new moves, like your party gets like keeps expanding more. So you can have like different permutations of party members and kind of like their skill trees unlock more.
I just sent you a DM, Alex, so I didn't have to say it out loud.
Yes. And kind of like what you said, I also do too. Like that helped a lot, kind of like even add more dynamism to the game and like the dynamics of like what you're seeing in the story. And I feel like that helps it a lot carry it, especially because it helps ground the story like towards like its eventual reveal, which I won't say what it is, but when it's
I should hope not. I mean that would be kind
of exactly. And how and once like everything is kind of like revealed like kind of like what it is, it puts into focus that the game's a little bit more intimate than its aesthetic like presents itself as, and that's something that for some people like that relate to like what it's trying to say can like touch deeply, and for others, in this case Hope, for example, he was hoping for
when you see pretty early that not just your party, but overall, it's a pretty small cast of characters. Like that becomes pretty readily apparent pretty quickly.
Yes, and I feel like kind of like the great silent French films, like the presentation of this game with like its music and all that helps accentuate like the things that it's trying to present to you. Because I don't feel like this story has not been told before. That's something but I feel like the way like it's told here, it's so unique to this game, and it's
the game. Sorry, I just want to say, is the game overly French? Like, is it?
Yeah, let's just say that
it's quite French. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it overly like it wears its Frenchness like on its sleeve, and I feel
almost every name of characters and enemies is like either a French name or like the one boss that I keep saying I like the music to. Like
he had a very French
its name.
Yeah, I don't mind
French
names.
No, it's very French. It's very French.
Yeah. My thought on the French side of things would be like you say French silent films and things. I'm like, okay, that's a little worrisome there.
Like, it's because like a French silent film was like a ones that were very accentuated by its visuals and its music, and there's a lot of that here. That's kind of like it's
there's plenty of voice acting, so don't worry about that.
Yes, don't worry. It's like there's plenty. Like the voice acting is pretty great, especially Rick is gonna get even better voice acting right now, like where he's at going forward.
I mean, I don't think
you're in Act 2, Rick.
Yes, I just finished Act 1 before this. Well, before I had to bail, but yeah. So now I'm hearing Ben Starr's character, and I mean, Ben Starr could talk to me while I was going to sleep, and I would probably sleep better for it.
Yes,
I love Ben Starr.
He's great, and I'll say his character is really great. I'm not gonna say like what his role is, but it's like a he comes at this.
No, just nope, just leave it alone.
I'll just say this. I'll just say this. It's like take Clive and add a Han Solo type charm to him. There's like a kind of Han Solo Bard style. That's what Paul told me about it. How what the vibe he got from him, and it adds a lot to the tone of this game that can sometimes be not overly serious, but there's like a melancholy to like almost everything. With a few times where it gets like silly, like the thing with the Gestalts. That is like that. It actually goes overly silly with that at that town.
That was actually super out of place. Like it was that. I found those things so annoying.
Yeah, it's really because like the tonal shift there is like pretty jarring because like already the tone is like already very solemn, and then you got kind of like these wacky gestalts that that
people paintbrush freaking like
Gorons.
With that Gorons or those kind of like posable dolls that they use for like modeling.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were that too.
Here's a hot take. I don't really like Han Solo. I think he's a jerk.
He is a jerk, and that's why you like him. But
yeah, exactly.
I don't like
that
jerks.
is the point. So, but hey, you don't like that kind of rogue.
No, I don't.
Rogue scoundrel. So that's you.
I don't like.
Good thing Paul wasn't here.
Overconfident. I don't like overconfident characters or people. I don't like overconfidence. That is a personal thing that bothers me in characters when they're overconfident. And
that's
I also
very
don't
interesting considering I know without saying names, I know a person that you like who is maybe the most overconfident person I've ever listened to in my entire life.
Yes.
I'm sure you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. I understand what you're saying. I mean braggadocious, overconfident braggadocia. That's where it draws the line. And that person you're talking about, I would not say is braggadocious.
See, I think they are. But
yes.
That's why I'm just saying I just think it's funny you said that because I know you like that person. So
yeah.
But I would say that I wouldn't say the character Ben Stark plays is overly braggadocious. He's just more like charming. Like he's roguish. Yeah, he's like more charm roguish.
We'll see. I'll get there.
And the thing is that that's not his entire character arc. Like you'll see how that develops like through the story. It's like he becomes like really pivotal to like the emotional core of that story. So, but it's from that point onward that I'm like, I was actually agreeing with Gene like early on when the discourses happened because he knew that a lot of people had not gotten out of Act 1 and everyone
Gene
was
Park
already,
for the listeners.
Yes.
Gene Park of Washington Post.
Yeah, and everyone was like already glazing the game when they had not even gotten to the good parts. It was like a lot of people kind of got caught up with the 30 people made this. Look how beautiful it is, how fun. Yeah. Like I usually don't play this shit, and this is the one that did it. Like this game has a lot of. I usually don't play this shit. This one has gotten me like enveloped, and I can kind of see that. And I would say this like I tend to enjoy turn-based, but this one definitely clicked more with me for its aesthetic and how it eventually like resolved its story that I found like a very personally like very affecting for me. But that's not also me discounting that. Oh yeah, turn-based has been disappeared. That's kind of what I hate about something like that discourse because like last year we got Metaphor. Persona's been there, like
I say Persona 5 is the big hit on the block now. So like to say that turn-based went away is just outright wrong.
Yes, and I feel like
we also had Persona 3.
Exactly. Yeah.
And actually, I mean it's a little bit different, but you also had Unicorn Overlord last year.
Yes.
There were a lot of turn-based games recently, so I don't know where that narrative came from that they went away.
And I feel like it's people failing to like articulate of like, man, I missed a turn-based game that looked like this. Because obviously like Final Fantasy was this up until Final Fantasy 13. And then that kind of stopped because a lot of people were like criticizing JRPGs around that time during the Western dominance of the late 360 PS3 era. So I get kind of like people feeling like they haven't had that kind of game in a while, and that's probably why they feel so taken by this. Also, the Frenchness of this game is also so unique, like itself. And I feel like again, the flash in the pan of when it's coming out. That I feel a lot of people want new ideas. Sometimes they don't put their money where their mouth is when they get all these new ideas. And I feel this is the first time that I've seen that kind of happen. That this has like really resonated in its uniqueness and bringing back a style of this game that hasn't been there. And I do, and more than anything, I love how relatively compact it is, and that without it feeling like I got shortchanged.
Persona 5, yeah.
Exactly. So it's like It's like I feel like like when you see the entire adventure, like it used its time pretty economically, like compared to like most RPGs. Like I love that there was at no point a time where I was like, I need to go grind a few levels to kind of go forward. I feel like the game is like pretty like yeah, like for you, Joe, that you don't like grinding much. Like I feel this is gonna work for you well as long as like you just nailed its mechanics. And I feel that's why a lot of people are really like resonating with that. It's just to me, it's just so mixing so many narratives together that I feel like it is possible to like objectively say yes, it's good that this game is $50. It's as feature packed as it is. It was done by a small team because it shows that AA game is viable instead of just thinking that only AAA should be the place where this kind of game is viable. At the same time, you can also then discuss the game as it is. I am still writing the review. I think I'm landing at a 9, like overall, because I've been like the more I've seen some of the late game balance and things like the platforming and some of the polish and all that. It's like
the platforming is rough in that game.
Yeah, and so it's like it's worth saying that it's not perfect. Like the game is like you can see the few people on the screen in the game sometimes with like sometimes the lip syncing and some of the cutscenes. The pop
running animations.
Yes, the running animations that initially.
That's actually I use Lune a lot just simply because she like glides when you're running. Running,
yeah,
I could not stand Gustav's running animation. It looked terrible.
Yes, yeah, he seemed like overly like his shoulders were like overly tight.
His arms are real tight to him. It's
exactly.
Really
so
that's how Henry runs in Kingdom Come Deliverance. He's like,
yeah, but you don't see it in Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Yes, you do because you see his shadow. You see his shadow, and it's the most annoying thing in the world. You're like, why is he running like he's
Gustav's
a robot?
I promise.
Yes, because you can see it and you cannot unsee it that way. So it's like some of the artistry is out of this world. Then there's a few Unreal Engine genericism in a few spots of the visual stuff. So even kind of like the visual beauty is like not consistent. So it's like, but the thing is that the things that are so good are also so good. That's why I feel like everyone that says this game's like a 9 plus, I feel that's kind of like where it is. It being the highest rated user game of all time, like people like calling it the second coming, actively hurts like this first out of that.
Yeah.
And especially like like
I said, I tried. I don't want it to be the case, but there is no question that it has, to a slight degree, soured me on it more than I would have otherwise been.
And
There's
also,
no question about it.
And also because what's funny is that then when more of the glazing started happening was when the great stuff that is mid to late game has been happening. That if you're still stuck in the place where it's still kind of like pretty even, like nothing like too crazy and all that, like, and you start hearing that and you're there, that actively like that can also actively hinder your enjoyment because like it's glazing for the later stuff instead of while you're still like in the middle. And if you're kind of like seeing that while you're playing that, I feel that can also hurt it. I was seeing it with Paul. I was like, look, I'm not gonna say just get there, just get to this point so we can at least start talking more. And I saw how that opinion for him like completely changed. Like every night he kept like texting me his theories about where he was kind of guessing where the story. Kind of what I was joking with you, Rick, like after we recorded our Last of Us episode from this week, but I kept sending him the Pepe meme.
I have a slight theory as to, I'm going to keep it to myself this time, but I have a slight theory as to, it's very like surface level of what I think, but I have an idea what might be to an extent going on.
Yes.
But you said I was very much wrong on one, but you said I was actually pretty close on another one. And being close on another one kind of works with what my new theory is anyway.
And so. I think like that, you kind of see why I told you that one is kind of right because of the thing that happens in Act 1. It's kind of like I just was what kind of shows you. So, and if you paid attention to some dialogue in some black and white scene, that probably hit like give you more hints.
I couldn't make a damn lick of sense out of anything that happened in the black and white scene, so yes. I definitely didn't make up anything there. I can tell that.
I would say that's one of the scenes that when you see like when everything is revealed and then you start getting the dialogue, it was right in front. Yeah, it all makes sense, and I feel that's a strength of a game working.
I like when games do that. I like when they tell you like, you know, Persona 5's twist, right? Like it told you what was happening, and you had to really notice it, right? That's not a great example. There's way better ones, but I like that. I like when the big twist is told to you, or actually a better example, honestly. A better example is Rebirth. Rebirth tells you straight up what's going on, and if you don't know what's happening. And I actually like that. I think that's actually pretty cool.
Well, for moment one in Rebirth, like they don't like they dangle the thing in front of you.
Well, not moment one, but about moment 5. Yes, like it's right there, and I like that. I like when it does that, right? So like, it makes the second playthrough better then, because you then start to notice all the little things that didn't make sense before, and it's like, oh, the game actually told me what was happening, and I didn't know it.
Yeah,
I still think they might be tricking us in Rebirth. Just saying, they may be pulling the wool over our eyes.
That's for the third game to reveal.
Yep.
I have one more question before we move into headlines here about Expedition 33. Do you guys think they're gonna patch the platforming and make it not terrible?
I don't.
It's gonna be rough.
They could, yeah.
It's gonna be.
I mean, it's not like you have to do it every 5 seconds. Like Kingdom Hearts had infamously bad platforming, right? And you had to do it a lot, which was
the original.
You don't have to do it a lot here,
exactly.
but when you do, it's like, God, this is agonizing.
Because actually, it feels very loose.
The platforming was better in Kingdom Hearts, but you don't have to do it as much here. Which
I remember slipping off of things that I'm like, I landed on it, but you're like, no, you just barely missed the edge.
That
happens here too. Yeah, that happens here. And actually, this one, they love to make you jump on real narrow little like circles that you have to land on or whatever. Which that's probably the big problem. If they had like deep platforms, you'd be okay.
Yes, but thankfully, this is just for exploration. It's never for like main progress. Like this platform is kind of like to the side. So you will only see it if you're just trying to be thorough in your environment. And also a big issue that I have, and I feel like it's become more like exponentially, like the more like gone back to these places, gosh, this game deserved a mini map. Like in the normal levels,
especially if you're trying to remember where to go in certain areas.
Oh, is there no mini map or anything?
Nope. The only map is when you're in the overworld. That's it. And it's actually a completely worthless map too. You can actually see better by not using the map.
Exactly.
So
it's like it's very old. So that's very like very old school like RPG. That's kind of like where it's taking some of these inspirations. But again, like I still enjoy the game a lot. I feel like I can't wait to be able to talk with more people that get to the end and kind of see kind of where it lands, because I also do feel that a lot of the stories of how this game lands for you like rests more on its emotional resonance than its substance. Let's just say because with Paul, like he was sending me like tears, like how that ending resonated with him, and that's gonna be like different for many people. So it's art. It's like I feel like as pretentious as it may be, it's like it just kind of nails that of like being like a piece of art. That's why, Rick, you seeing like this is very good. That doesn't really offend me, because especially knowing that other parts that were so resonant immediately for others maybe was not as much as it was for you, and that's how it is for many people. Like even Brad is kind of like you did, Rick. Like he likes the game, but and Brad has been like so funny because he's like he gets hung up by the 9.7. He's like he keeps mentioning every time he talks about this game.
It's bothering him that it's that high.
It's bothering him that it's that high.
It bothers me too, because it 100% does not deserve to be that high. Exactly. And I don't mean that to shit on it. I really don't. It is just not that. Like it's not even close to that.
Yes,
because if it's at like a 9, I'd be like, okay, that's higher than I go, but I'm not. That doesn't bother me, right? That's much close. 9.7 is way too freaking high.
Exactly,
way too high.
Yeah, and I do feel that more of I feel like this is kind of like glazing as, how can I say this word? As a not protest, but as a message of like.
As almost like an anti-protest,
exactly. It almost feels like a very like very pro. We're like overly glazing because we kind of want more of this. We kind of want to send a message. This is kind of what I want. I'm kind of seeing it that way instead of like this is how we think about this game. Though from emotional resonance alone, when people tell me like they absolutely love the game because of how it touched them like emotionally, that's where I buy like them loving this game as much, because that's where it hangs its hat on. Like ultimately, even like its ultimate resolution, it's very emotionally driven. So that's why I can't wait for you to like see what ultimately all means. I can't wait.
I am now at the point that you told me I had to get to see if I start liking it. Well, again, that's a very poor way to put it. To see if I like it more.
Yeah, exactly. So
we'll see what happens.
And let's see if this like new twist for you, like if you start enjoying it more, like going from here going forward. If not, hey, each game hits us in different ways.
And again, being as that it is not some 130-hour Persona 5 Royal, which I can finish because I love that game. But it was a slog. There's no question about it. It was a slog, right? At times. This is not that. I probably will, even if I stick around my 8 and don't go up or down or whatever, I'll probably still basically force my way through it. That said, I probably do not intend to do much post-game. Like, I'll probably finish the story and then be pretty much done with it for now, at least. Because there's God knows enough other shit right now that I don't want to worry about.
Yes.
But I do want to finish the story. I do want to see what happens. I do want to, I want to be able to put a proper assessment out there. And
you
say,
want
hey,
tomorrow to come, Rick?
Yes. For those who come after, right?
For those who come after, yeah.
And I don't even know what that means, but I just know Alex says it a lot.
Yes.
It's like our slogan.
Yes.
Yeah, I figure. Yeah, I just know Alex is saying it all the time.
It's basically saying like we're clearing the way for the next expedition. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can kind of like look at it deeply as like we work for our future that way.
Right,
So
right.
Yeah, sure.
So there's some philosophical kind of like lines in that I feel like are pretty cool, like in their way. So can't wait for you to play it, Joe. I can't wait for you to get further into it, Rick. Like
I will say just one more thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
I will guess, if I had to really guess, I think you'll probably like it more than I do, Joe, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I generally do. I think you'll probably be like, no, I'm more in, I being you,
Mm-hmm.
more in line with kind of the discussion around it. And
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I mean, I hope so. I hope you dig it. If I was to guess, I think it'll be right up your
I feel to your advantage, Joe, because everything's so unique to you. I can't wait to see. I'm actually curious to see kind of where you land, because I feel like you're more disaffected by the outside noise. I feel like you're very like
I shouldn't be, but I am, and I know.
Yeah, and some people are like that. Like even Brad was. So we're not immune to that.
That is interesting, because usually don't have people like of his level, if you will, that let that get to them. But that's interesting that it did. I didn't know that.
Apparently it might be a 10-person spoiler cast over there, like for this game, because everyone finished it.
That'll be
insane.
12 hours long.
Yeah,
they can't do a show with 3 people that's less than 4, so
yeah, but I do find it interesting that many people like in that orbit like all played and finished it. Even people that usually don't play that kind of game. I feel that's the thing that I'm happiest about this game, that it's like maybe opening the door for turn-based to many people. It's as they just have to properly mention that it's their first time instead of just calling it the greatest thing because it's their first one. So,
I'll have to ask Ains if Dr. Mo liked it or not, because Dr. Mo is not a turn-based guy at all.
Yeah.
But I'll bet you he would dig this, actually.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, Dr. Mo. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy that was trying to coach you over Sekiro. I remember.
Well, he tried to convince me to stick with it. Him and Matt over from my Discord.
Mm-hmm. All right, time for some headlines, because I've been playing Uncharted 1 and 2 as my palate cleansers. I like doing that, but I don't need to really dwell on that. It's still Uncharted, and I still love those games.
We talk about it tomorrow if you want.
Exactly. Time for the headlines. Joe, because you wrote this one, read it in your voice.
Sure. Grand Theft Auto 6 finally has a release date, May 26th, 2026. After a slight delay from 2025 into the first half of 2026 and a new trailer captured on the base PS5, we finally know GTA 6's release date, and the industry breathes a collective sigh of relief that 2025's fall window is clear. Additionally, a slew of new information about the setting and characters has been released.
That was an incredible second trailer.
Yeah, I'm not.
I thought you were gonna say that was an incredible read or an incredible headline writing. Come on, compliment trailer. Yeah, Rockstar, of course, it's an incredible trailer, Alex.
I'm not gonna be hyperbolic. That might be the best trailer ever released, actually. Like for games.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Rockstar and Kojima are on a different level when they come to releasing trailers.
Yeah.
But Kojima does them in a really interesting movie style, right? Like showing cutscenes and all that stuff. Rockstar, they are brilliant with what they do. They're so confident, and I don't. So obviously there was discussion about base or not, which you confirmed in this. It was base, and I did not think it was actually. But I remember when it came out. Number one, a lot of discussion about will it actually look like that? If you don't think that, you don't know what you're talking about, because Rockstar don't fake this. They never have, at least since the PS2 era, right? And when there's no gameplay, it's like there was gameplay in that, and they've confirmed that today. If you don't think there was gameplay, once again, you don't follow how Rockstar does this, because this is what they do every time. They always sneak gameplay with cinematic camera angles, so you don't realize it's straight up gameplay, but it's like that's what they do. They I
mean, there was a straight up shot over the back of Lucia's shoulder of like the gun, like the aiming style. Like that was what they like, that's Rockstar. That's exactly what Rockstar's shooting always looks like. I was like, that's gameplay with no HUD. Like it has to be.
There were plenty of moments too where Jason, that's his name, right? Jason?
Yeah, I think it's Jason. Yeah.
He was driving
Jason
down
Duvall.
the street. Okay, I actually didn't realize they gave their last names. He was driving down the street, and I said, I'm like, that's gameplay. So that is being played with a cinematic camera. You know, they use their Rockstar editor or whatever to change around, but you could tell because he's not really interacting. He might be looking around and grinning and stuff like that, but he's not doing anything. It's like that's not a cutscene. That's a game. Like, or that's the gameplay rather.
Yeah.
And they've been doing the gameplay trailer like as how they show it since GTA 4. They've done it with every game they do it. Like they did it with Red Dead 1, they did it with LA Noir.
Red Dead 2, all of them.
Red Dead 2, like even Max Payne 3, like they are so like they're always so focused on showing you that this is the game. Like they never do CG.
It's very that's what I was about to say. That's what I was saying. They do not do CGI. They have not done CGI since like State of Emergency, and well, you know how that turned out.
Yeah.
Like everything with them is in engine.
Yeah, and
that's what it looks like. That's what the game is going to look like. It's hard to believe, but it is.
Yeah, and I do love that they had to follow up that like because they had to confirm, because in the trailer it said captured on PS5, and I remember the big gameplay reveal of Red Dead Redemption 2, like before it came out, when it was like that it had the Rockstar lady like explaining things, like it said capture on PS4 Pro.
I love that Rockstar lady. She's great.
Yeah, like so they usually are very like vocal of where they're kind of showing that. And obviously, like they said, capture on PS5 at the end of this trailer. And obviously, a lot of people are like, "That's probably Pro. That's not real." And then they can be like, "It is the base PS5, people. This is how it looks." And I believe it.
I did not expect it to be the base. Not that I thought they were cheating. I just thought they were just saying like, "Hey, this is not a PC that's faking the images, right?"
If they can get this to look like 80% as good as it looks and run 80% as good as it seemingly runs on a Series S, then I think we can officially say that wizards exist and they all work at Rockstar.
Absolutely.
And they cast a magic spell on their computers and on their code, because there's no reason that other games should have the issues that they don't have to look as good as this looks, but they shouldn't have the technical problems that they have if Rockstar can get this to look and run this good.
Yeah,
in a massive open world game too.
Yeah. That's the other thing. I need to see this map. I need to see the map of Leonida. Are we going with Leonida or are we going with Leonida?
Well, I think it's Leonidas, because it's based on like Pons de Leon, I think is where they think the name's coming from.
Maybe, but it's also like Florida, so I think it's supposed to be like Leonida. I don't know. Anyway. Whatever it is.
It is weird that they never once had it actually pronounced, because usually they do have the state that you're in pronounced. But
I would say that it would be Leonida is how I would do it, because of keeping with the I sound instead of the I. But because again, it's Florida, and so Leonida would be an I instead of an I. But anyway, point is, I need to see this map because I'm pretty sure that this is the state of Florida. Like, I don't think that this is like Vice City and the outskirts, the way that San Andreas City, Los Santos and was, set in San Andreas, the state of San Andreas, and then it was like the outskirts of Los Santos, like in 5. I think this is the state. I think, because for people who don't know, again, I'm in Rochester right now, but my home base is Florida. Orlando, Florida is home for me. And Florida is very big, and Miami, which is Vice City, and the Keys, the Florida Keys, which this is the Leonida Keys that they talk about on their list of locations, they're like 6 hours apart by car. Like they're on opposite ends of the state almost. And you have to take like 3 bridges to get to some of the key. Anyway, they are not close. And so I'm pretty sure that this is just going to be the state. If they're going to say that you're going to the Keys and you're going to be in Vice City and then had that Port Gellhorn place, like, I'm certain if it's not the whole state, then it's got to be like the entire East Coast of Florida or its equivalent. That's my opinion based off of the locations and the descriptions that they've had in here. And I think they had a mountain location, which is weird because there's no mountains in Florida, so I don't know what that's going to be. But
I saw that I think it was on the GTA wiki, where obviously people who are combing every frame. They show the I don't think it's the penitentiary that Lucia is in, but they show some like state penitentiary that apparently looks very similar to, I forget the name of it, but one that's in Georgia. So they think they might be kind of like combining things that way because of it.
Yeah, it definitely could be. I could see that because like I said, there are no mountains in Florida, so it can't be Florida mountains. It could go up to Georgia, but that again, like that would be really cool because Georgia and Florida share a line, and that would follow through with the East Coast, and then it would go into Georgia. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. I want to see a map. I really want to see a map of this game because
unfortunately you almost
it's gonna
certainly
be
will
big.
not until it's coming out, because you remember the only reason we saw Red Dead 2's map early was because somebody got a copy of the game and took a picture of the physical
Yeah,
map. So like they did not show that map before it came out.
I
So
know.
I'm going to guess the same thing will happen here.
Yeah. But I just love how hyped everyone was by this trailer, like almost
It's
universally.
incredible.
Like
It's incredible.
it just felt so as impressive as this generation has been. I feel like we have gotten so used to like the normal like fidelity where we're kind of all playing that it's hard to say that we're impressed by visuals at this point. And if this is one of the few times when you look at that, it's like that is insane looking,
Oh,
like
it's
in
incredible.
almost every frame of it.
I,
And
I've said for a long time, there are two studios, Joe. I don't care what you think. There are two studios that are heads and shoulders above everybody else, and I mean by that I mean not even in discussion. And it is Rockstar and Naughty Dog. Nobody else is even in discussion with them when it comes to this stuff. Like
Mhm.
I
they're but
I
but
don't
both
disagree
but
with you on the technical front for sure. I definitely like
watch your
no one
mouth.
does.
Watch your mouth.
I'm saying like no one does technical stuff better than Naughty Dog for sure. Like their games are amazing looking and they always are smooth and generally bug free. Like technically, I agree with you on that 100%, Rick, for sure. I just don't particularly care for how they feel to play or like, and that's really it. Like their stories are good too. I really enjoy their stories. I just never enjoy the experience of being in their world. I don't like that part.
And Rick,
That's my only criticism of Naughty
and
Dog.
only just to give a caveat to Joe, he has not played Last of Us Part Two either.
Yeah,
That's true.
So
Not
which is
yet. I'll
by
wait for
far
them to give it for free.
their best playing, yeah.
honestly, I think Mass of Us 2 is also one of the best playing games ever made outside of
I
being
would agree with Rick
simply
in
one of
that
the
one
best games.
specifically, like
Yeah.
because I have felt like they have evolved their gameplay from being like, especially playing Drake's Fortune, is like this is barely functional.
Yeah, it was a little rough. And actually, the one that you're playing is also really improved over how it was
Over
too.
how it was in PS3, I
Yeah.
was like, man, like
Yeah.
this gunplay sucks.
Yeah, when you
But
play the
like
newer ones and go back to that one, it was rough.
yeah, but then Uncharted 2 was the first time that it was like competent.
Yeah.
Then 3 initially was like a slight step back in the aiming until they patched it.
Mm-hmm.
Then 4 was like, okay, you're kind of getting there, but it's like it's still like your games are better. Like everything surrounding your gameplay is what's great about you. It's like Last of Us Part 2 is the first time where I feel like the entire package was on sync in its like in its high
Yeah,
quality.
yeah. Obviously, this was not meant to be a Naughty
I know.
Dog discussion.
I know.
Those two, and I mean, obviously, there's a reason why Grand Theft Auto in particular shakes the earth when it comes out, right? There's a reason for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always
But
has.
Even not being as big as it is, nobody wants to really say anything around Red Dead either because it's still Rockstar. And to this day, you can't name 5 games that look better than Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
That is a 7-year-old game, and you cannot name 5 games that have come out since that look better. I don't even know if you can name 3 at this point. That is how impressive that game is.
And I would say like because I played
Last of Us 2 is about the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
yeah,
And I wouldn't say better, at least it's equal. Sorry.
I played Red Dead 2 on base PS4, and that thing looked unbelievable on a base PS4.
And the PS4 was actually the worst of the two because it had broken HDR and stuff like that. The Xbox One version on
An X
was actually the best version to play at that time.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's still, you go back and if you play it now, it's like, man, just this is what Rockstar does. And I know I don't too, to be fair, but like again, in Red Dead Redemption 2, there are animations that they spent time perfecting that you see one time at the beginning of the game and you never see it again.
Yeah.
like that is how meticulous they are. And I know people are like,
it's
crunch
so slow
and all this and that. Well, that, but I was talking about crunch and all that. It's like, you know what? Save it, because this is what putting money and time and
effort.
care into something does. Is you get a product that is leaps and bounds above almost everything else that it's competing with. It doesn't happen for free, right? That happens with effort and sacrifice by the studios.
Yeah.
And guess what? Because of it, yeah, they might have had a tough few years, right? They're all going to be very, very, very wealthy after this game comes out. Every freaking
from pre-orders alone.
Every one of them is going to be millionaires after this game comes out. Every single one.
My biggest criticism of Grand Theft Auto games and Red Dead to some extent, although Red Dead's actually a little bit better than GTA at this, is I feel as though there's not like side quests. you're usually just mainlining the mission, and then otherwise, if you're doing activities, if you're doing activities, you're doing them because there's a lot of activities. They have lots of things you can do, but there's no drive to do them other than you want to do them. I like that.
5 was the first one I would really say did have them, but it was limited. You're right. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I like that Red Dead 1 and 2, the Stranger missions. The Stranger missions are side quests. Those are side quests.
That's what I'm talking about. Yep, exactly.
That was the first time that they really attempted to do like anything besides just going to the first letters of like the main quest of everyone, like that's in the map that you kind of follow.
Which
through,
I
like,
love that. I think that's really cool. But to me, it has almost the Mafia, like the Mafia 1 problem and the Mafia 2 problem of you have this open world, but you're like, why am I going to do anything in here when I'm just going to the missions and like doing the missions? Except there's stuff to do in the open world, unlike the Mafia games where there's nothing to do.
I would agree with your statement there. Actually,
I'm hoping that they have some of that because just coming off of KCD2 where there's like 50 side quests or something, or 40 side quests and 50 side activities, and like 100 of them all, like crazy numbers of these things. I like that. I like that I can go off and do something that's just not related to the story for a little while and have a good adventure alongside things.
Yeah, I know that Red Dead 2 like had all those activities, and I feel like if there's one thing that is worth praising about that game, is like there was no drive to do any of that. Like
it was meant to be. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying about the pace. I'll say it was meant to be slow, but you're talking about something different. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Just kind of like the different. There's a shit ton of systems and things that you can go, but like the drive to do that is like so left to the player that way instead of kind of like incentivized.
Right, and that's why I like games that give you that incentive. Like you get this thing for doing this system, or here's this story beat, or even if it's just a character moment. Like little character moments are really fun, and that's to some extent, the GTA games, at least 4 and 5, have those character moments where you call up your friend or your wife or whatever.
And I would say Red Dead 2 in a side quest has the greatest moment of that game when what's the second, like the moment that he meets again with the nun when he's sick and he says that he's afraid. Like I think that was kind of like
I think that's a main quest, isn't it?
Yeah. There's also
it's the main quest that doesn't have to be there depending on your choices though.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, so and I love how that happens because like it feels like when it comes to like just storytelling, like from main story to main story, like they just kind of like have great through line throughout with everything they usually do. So but I would say that not having side quests kind of like I know that there's people that say that they sometimes get burnt out on Rockstar games because they don't kind of have that thing to maybe from story perspective to kind of like break up the pace a little bit to see that to give you something different. I know that I burnt out on GTA for some times because I was like, man, I'm still going just from mission to mission to mission to mission, and I don't know how much longer I have. I only had a percentage that told me how much longer I had. GTA 5 was good at telling me how many missions I had left. I had that 69 ticker like looking at me.
Don't do that. Stop putting mission trackers in games. It's a spoiler. I don't want to know how many missions I have left. I did everything I could to avoid checking how many KCD2 missions I had left. Yeah. Remember in the chat, I was like, I think I'm in the last 3 missions or so. I was not in the last 3 missions. I was in the end phase, but it was actually like 7 more missions in that end phase that some of them were short. But I don't want to know that. I don't want to know how many missions or quests are left.
Yeah, with me, I like knowing just in case I'm starting to feel bored.
I do too. I actually prefer knowing kind of where my progression is through the
because that at the very least helps me pace because I'm like, oh, I have that much. Okay. Instead of kind of like
I need a break to go do something else in the game. Yeah. I'm with you, Alex. I'm way more on that.
Yeah.
I just need a point of no return warning. Give me my point of no return warning. Tell me that I can't do other things outside of the game until I finish or everything's over or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't want to know the specific
I would say
number.
Rebirth was pretty excellent at telling you exactly how much you had left. Yeah. Like it helped me pace myself.
And Metaphor sucked at it.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what else was really good was Final Fantasy 16. That percentage tracker was accurate to the individual percent.
That's true.
Like man, they were whoever did that was like meticulous about making
you could tell
they did good for 16. Metaphor was horrible. Metaphor was awful at it, Alex. Metaphor was the worst because they did it like 3 times. I hated that.
Yeah, I follow Professor Noctis, which is like this professor from Alabama. It's a big Final Fantasy guy. He was playing through Metaphor, and he was suffering also through the percentages of not knowing because he was like, this thing won't fucking end. So,
I mean, it's like you know it has to end in October because that's the end of the calendar. But don't tell me it's gonna end 3 different times because then I'm thinking, is there like a post game that I'm gonna miss or something?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I heard that pretty often. Yeah. I still need to go get back to Metaphor. Damn it! Like I only got Heismer, and I never finished it.
You didn't finish Metaphor?
Nope. I didn't either.
I let it go.
Yeah, I
wasn't it on your list of like Game of the Year and stuff?
Yeah, I put it in the honorable mentions if I have played.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, remember I had like my tiers.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were the one like it was because of you that we had it high in our collective list because like you finished it and put it in your number 5, but me and Paul dropped from
Metaphor. I didn't finish Metaphor until this year.
You finished it right before Game of the Year, so you can like put it in our list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not what I meant.
Did I finish it?
Like because I told you that it counted before we recorded, so it's like even
because I finished it this year, but we did the recording later, like, 2 weeks in. That's right. Yeah. Okay, I remember now.
Yeah, so that's why like it was like a 2024 game. Put it in a list for 2024 game, regardless if you finish in the first week.
Yeah, I mean, because I did the best.
I don't care about that. I don't care about that.
I had done almost all of it by that point anyway. By the time
me finishing Black Myth Wukong December 31st was more because I just wanted to delete that game from my system. I just wanted to be done with it because I was so close.
I still have to buy that game. I'm waiting for it to go on sale. Jing is
waiting for me to play it. It never goes on sale. It's so weird.
It also never gets freaking patched anymore.
Yes.
It came out in August. It's had like 2 patches.
He got its PS5 Pro patch, and then that was it. They didn't have patches.
But the Pro patch didn't do anything other than quality or 40 frames per second mode. It didn't help performance mode at all.
Yeah, it still has its it still has the frame gen problem with that one.
She's waiting. Terrible. She wants the her being from China, she's really interested in Wukong as the story. She really wants to watch me play it, but I'm like, I'm waiting for it to go cheaper because I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to buy it at full price.
I'd be very interested if you eventually get that game, and I would love to hear like how she goes through that game because I know she's not much of a gamer, and that game's tough. But I would love to hear.
She doesn't want to play it. She wants to watch me play it. She's not going to play it herself.
I want to hear how that goes for you because it's not an easy game. Like it's not a.
It's easy at first, and then it kind of ramps up the difficulty.
I mean, I did Stellar Blade. I got Stellar Blade done. So
Stellar Blade is much easier, way easier of a game. Like Wukong whoops you like hard. So. But yeah, enough of the Grand Theft Auto 6. Now you know, people. The weekend after Labor Day of next year, if it doesn't slip. Usually Rockstar games tend to slip 3 times. This is kind of like the second delay, but usually the second delays come with a window. This time they gave us a date.
I'd say the fact that it's a straight up date. I'm guessing they're pretty confident this time.
And giving it a full year and giving us that full trailer. So and it's been in development for a while. So. But that's gonna be like every release date around May has been gamashed at this point of next year, and you'll know what that means when you play.
I know what it means. It's the disappearing thing. It's the Thanos thing.
It's the day when she sets the
I made a joke last week with Paul that is like GTA was always kind of like that. The painters, everyone was waiting for it to paint, and then if there was a game within the vicinity, they were gonna be like banished because no one wants to release around them.
You're actually gonna see some games like rush to get ahead of it now as opposed to behind it. And
we were getting that this year. Like I was loving that. I was seeing that the earlier was starting to get filled because they were trying to get away from this, and now like the fall is for the taking. We'll see when that happens. Maybe by the summer Game Pass. Next headline. This is a more quick one. Death Stranding 2 previews went live today at 2 a.m. Journalists and enthusiasts were allowed an uninterrupted 30-hour playthrough over at Kojima Productions in Japan. Previews seemed overwhelmingly positive, both from Death Stranding 1 fans and even naysayers. They specifically brought in a lot of naysayers to try this one, and it's rare. I was talking with Joe before you joined us, Rick, that the last time that I heard someone give a long preview, like of this many hours before release, was Final Fantasy 15 back in 2016. They allowed 15 hours.
Well, that's not a particularly great thing to be compared to because 15 was a little rough at launch.
Yes, but it was like because there was like such negative sentiment over the last minute delay that game got, and like the preview cycle at Gamescom, that then allowing that long preview allowed a lot of positivity in the preview, like in right before it released. It was like we played it for 15 hours. This thing is actually good. Obviously, we know that it was rough, but it was kind of like that helped it kind of like engendered that positivity. But we haven't seen that.
I will say I was not Oh, I know you were a little more surprised by how this went, not necessarily about the positive reception, but
Mhm.
kind of the way it was structured.
Yeah.
Like when I saw kind of what was said around it, I was like, I'm not that surprised by it because I think it was like 3 days ago is when Kojima said basically the game is still like 95% complete.
Mhm.
They're just polishing
The
the
last
last
5%.
So like, you're
5%.
right. So like basically what they let them do is they let them play the first 2 acts from the sounds of things, and obviously however much they or little they wanted to. So like now I don't disagree that clearly they were confident to allow them
That's
like
a lot of
3
hours.
but they did basically say like, okay, this part of the game is essentially finished, so we realize we're going to be using it through. So I wasn't too surprised by that because they're basically just giving them like, hey, this is the first 2 acts out of or chapters or whatever, out of however many they have.
Yeah.
I think they said it encompasses roughly 40% of the game, something like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long one.
So
But
it was like there must be 5 acts then.
Yeah.
So they basically probably said, this is done, this is polished, this is complete. You can play as much as you want. Go ahead.
Yeah, I highly appreciate more that the fact that they just let them play the first 2 acts by themselves, like fully, instead of like a vertical slice, and that early too, because then it's like I feel this is Kojima. I feel like I'm feeling so confident about my sequel to this game that I'm even inviting the people that didn't review me favorably last time to come over. Like even Dan Reichert from Giant, but formerly of Giant Bomb, he was a originally notorious Death Stranding hater after being a big Metal Gear guy, and then he played the director's cut 2 years later, and he fell in love with the game. Like after understanding more, like what it was.
You had to wrap your head around what it was because I always tell everybody, I'm like, it's a great game. It is a genuinely unique game, but you got to go into it knowing it's not what you think it is. Because if you're expecting a regular action game, you're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. But apparently it's gonna be more action focused this time. Like people were,
I like that.
Yeah, they were dropping that there was like apparently Kojima has made a full on Metal Gear game within his like package simulator, and that's so cool because Metal Gear Solid 5 from its gameplay, it's still very unmatched. The story of that game garbage.
If only they remembered to put a story in it, right?
Exactly, yeah, but exactly, but it's like as a gameplay sandbox, it's like that game was like we didn't know Kojima had it in him. We knew him as the movie guy that had its game like. That's how his people like jokingly always refer to the Metal Gear game. I was like, yeah, you watched them more than you played them, even though when you played them, something was pretty. It was pretty.
And awesome. The sad part is, for some reason, those people are who Konami listened to when they were making Metal Gear Solid 5. Instead of listening to the legion of fans that liked it exactly how it was,
exactly,
they idiots that opened their damn mouth about that.
Yeah, but then he proved that Kojima can also make a video, like a full-on video game. So Death Stranding, it's strong in its narrative. Like I would say, like it's super strong, like how it ends, like what it really is about. And I can't wait to see like what the Death Stranding 2 does. And we're so close now. It's like a month away, a month and a half away.
I'm we're 4 weeks away from the Switch 2, and then it's only 1 more week from there until Death Stranding. I'm like, God damn. Yeah, we're almost at Summer Game Fest basically because it's the same thing.
And Joe will be playing Mind's Eye around that point. So, and obviously Joe is not interested in Death Stranding at this point. So
I don't even. You're like, the ending's really good. I have no idea what it's really about. Like I don't know anything. There's a baby in a bottle.
Yeah,
it's a weird ass game.
Yeah, it's a weird game. Yes, it's like there's a point to its weirdness. That's what I love. It's just not weird for the sake of weirdness, because a lot of people thought it was just weird for the sake of weirdness.
There's a baby in a bottle, and the rain makes things old.
That's 2 elements out of hundreds.
I was gonna say that's not untrue, but you're missing a lot there.
Exactly.
That's what I know about it.
I actually do need to finish that sometime. I never finished that Stranding.
I did because that was the last game I reviewed independently when I had my own website. So that was the last thing I did. And
why'd you get rid of your own website anyway?
Because it wasn't doing traffic, and I was not gonna keep paying for the for the server costs. But I kept those reviews, and I sent those for when I apply for SG. So it worked for something. So. Third headline, because this was supposed to be last week, but it happened the day after. It happened during my Labor Day, and I was like, no, I'm gonna talk about that with Rick and Joe. Microsoft announces increases in prices of all its hardware, scaring away the remaining 11 people interested in buying it, and announced its AAA first-party games will go up to $80 this holiday season.
If you can't tell, I wrote that headline too.
Yes. All the headlines were written by Joe this time. Yeah, he made
all of them. You wrote the Death Stranding thing.
Yeah, that was you could tell the difference in linguistics. But yeah, Rick is pointing like the thumbs down is like what a way to just commit seppuku on your hardware at this point with Xbox. Like it wasn't even selling at this point.
Especially with another news or a headline that's later down the list too.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So the article,
it's like Microsoft pulled the grenade out of their thing, pulled the pin, and put it in their mouth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
So
throw it
the
into
article
HCC.
The article from VGC here says that Microsoft is raising prices on Xbox consoles with games set to $80 this year. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across any screen and ensuring value for Xbox players, is what Microsoft said to IGN. They said, most notably, the Xbox and Series X and S has gone up by $100 and $80 respectively. X and S $180 in the US. That's a huge increase in a console that has very little appeal to most people,
especially now more than ever.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. You can't sell consoles. Raising your prices by 40% isn't the way to change that.
Yeah, and I know that everyone's using the tariff scapegoat. That's half truth because yes, the China was tariffed.
It's part of it for sure. But
if there's a company that I would believe could eat it, it's Microsoft.
and the tariffs sure as hell don't have anything to do with the freaking games themselves.
Yes,
because especially on Xbox, it's got to be 99% digital. You can't even get half the shit physically, so there is no tariff cost of that. There's none.
Yeah.
So
there's a certain remaster, and what's funny, there's a certain remaster that was announced as a quick headline down the line that has a physical coming for the rival console and not even for their own system.
Yeah, I'm telling I get it. Microsoft has tried to obviously get rid of not get rid of, but they've really tried to put a bullet in the head of physical games on their platform. And
bang,
that sucks for me, who is a physical guy. I mean, you can see all behind me, but
Joe
is what it is.
Yeah, I am.
But if you're going to do that, you have no excuse for the $80 price tag. None. You have zero excuse for that.
No.
So the fact that Microsoft decided to follow Nintendo's example here is really not a good look for Microsoft at all. And to be fair, we know what the Xbox community tends to be like, and they will make infinite. I have seen a lot of them really running them in the dirt over that. So credit to them. They're at least standing behind what they were saying on that for once.
Yep.
Yeah, this was universally negative, and there was no way that you could spin it for a positive. It's like
it doesn't make sense.
The worst one is the 2 terabyte one. It's not more expensive than a Pro.
And you figure a 2 terabyte is the size of the hard drive in the Pro.
Yes.
So there's literally no reason why it should be more. None.
And the Pro has already proven. It's like, despite what a lot of those fanboys were trying to say that now, the Pro is now online with the Series X and power. No, it wasn't. It's like, that's just copium. That was just copium. It's like, it has been proven now. The Pro is a more substantial, powerful machine than the Xbox Series X. It is. And you're not proud yourself above it.
Upscaling is a major thing. It's also actually the console itself obviously is more powerful, but that's not what really makes it better is the fact that it can do the upscaling. That is specifically why it is
the PSSR.
The pisser, yes. That is why it is so far ahead of the Series X. That's not an insult to the Series X. It's also over the base PS5. That AI upscaling makes a big difference.
Yeah. But also, man, what a shitty generation for pricing. It's wild to think that the cheapest time to buy a console was in 2020. And it has not gone down at all. And obviously right now, everyone's one excuse that I've been saying, the only excuse I saw was you think Sony's not going to raise the price? I'm like,
there's a... going to, but they haven't yet.
They haven't yet. Exactly. They haven't yet. And to be fair, there was news that they were shipping millions and millions of consoles into the US to get ahead of any import tariff. So it's they could weather the storm.
Why would Microsoft not have done the same thing? I realize it doesn't have the demand, but they 100% could have been hey, we need 10 million Xbox Series X's and
I don't know if they have millions of Xboxes made already. They
probably not. But...
so few people order them. They probably just make them on demand, those shirts. Someone orders from a shirt.
Yeah, there were markets in the EMEA countries and all that. They were taking hardware away from there. It was not selling. It's that was news that even Jess Gordon from Windows Central was reporting that it's been really bad for their hardware, and in their books it keeps showing. It's hardware numbers just keep going down at massive percentages in their earnings, but software keeps going up.
Right.
It's just
it's because they bought half the industry. So
exactly. So it's by default they have they have all the best sellers at this point. Even last month the top 3 sellers in the PlayStation Store were Xbox games basically. So it's that's kind of the funny Trojan horse. Hey, that's the beauty of being a third-party publisher that just wants to have its cake and eat it too. But if they were wanting to propagate their hardware, nah, it's like they just shot themselves doubly in the foot with this price increase.
The only other thing that I have to say on this is, based on this, and certainly the reaction to it, where once again, even the most ardent Xbox fans are pretty much saying this is a terrible idea. I don't understand why, if you are Sarah Bond or whoever, you don't say, let's just pull the plug on the next, let's cut our losses now, because it is every dollar at this point that we put into R&D for the next piece of hardware is a wasted dollar. So we might as well just cut our losses on it now and just go.
Meanwhile, the leak handheld for Asus Xbox crossover, where it doesn't even play the Xbox games.
It's just a PC handheld again. Like the thing that people have said that it would be cool if it was Xbox OS, not Windows. Windows sucks, and the handle is so inconsistent. It's like they just wanted they are trying to make a brand.
It's just another ROG Ally that they have the Xbox branding on. That's all.
Yeah. So we'll see.
It's a Zog Ally.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll see. Again, Sony anticipated this, and to be fair to Sony, they already raised the prices worldwide, like outside, just not in the US, because obviously.
Yeah, but that's the other places. That's not here.
Exactly. No, that's the thing. Like they already rose prices there, but we heard that they anticipated and shipped 1 million consoles into the US. And right now, like without them doing anything, it could, again, subject to change, they have a $399 console, like bundle, digitally, Astrobot, the game of the year of last year that just has that, is widely available. So it's like both Nintendo and Microsoft like inadvertently are making Sony look so good at this point.
Which is not an easy thing to do.
Especially when they're not releasing anything for first party. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like they have it easy. It's like they're winning without even trying at this point.
And that was why I said I understand that this is not good business, whatever. Sony, if they are smart, would find a way to eat this, because now, I mean, obviously they've already more or less killed their competition, but you can cut the head off your competition now and just completely take them out of the market. Because if you can somehow maintain your prices or increase them only slightly, I mean, a PS5 rather, being what $50 more than if they raise it $50 than a Series S, nobody in their right mind would buy a Series S. Nobody. And suddenly Game Pass is not at all a selling point.
And you know what the trick is? Raise the $50 and throw in Astrobot, throw in Horizon, throw in throw in a game.
That's a zero cost. You're right. Yeah.
Throw in the first party game.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do that for Jote. I believe they would. They did that for the first Death Stranding. I'm not sure if they're gonna do that. They haven't announced a bundle. They announced a DualSense today.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's one more goddamn one I'm gonna pile up in here somewhere. Right? That actually is a good looking one. So
yes, I like how it looks like the Porters. Like it actually has kind of like the design of the Porters. You have your last
piles
one,
up
right?
DualSenses, and I pile up.
Yeah, he has like a collection of DualSenses there.
Yeah, they're all unopened. I pile up my collector's editions because I definitely have the Yote one ordered.
Yeah, everyone got their kings, and hopefully you get your Yote collector's edition like nicely. It's not gonna.
Well, it's ordered from PS Direct, so
they're pretty good.
Is
Yeah,
good,
they're pretty good.
Yeah, the only time
for the Firefly edition.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah,
but generally speaking, PS Direct, like my Spider-Man came from there. My Spider-Man 2 one came from there. I didn't have any issues with it. So
cool. Yeah,
but so that's Microsoft raising their prices.
In the other hand,
that's it.
We got another publisher that you would think would want to keep raising prices based on what the kinds of games that they publish, but they realized their market is ripe for maybe something cheaper, because apparently like the water's been set. Like the waters have been set this year with success at the $50 range. Mafia: The Old Country locks in an August 8, 2025 release date with a new gameplay trailer, and 2K announces a lower than standard price point of $50 for standard edition with a deluxe edition for $60. That is a great price for what we know is a more traditional Mafia game that's not open world, that's kind of like taking the vibes of the first two games, kind of something more linear. Yep. So price it accordingly.
Very hype. Yeah, the game looks awesome.
Yes.
VGC says in their article here, titled Mafia: The Old Country release date and $50 price point confirmed, they said that the game's price point appears to reflect its place in 2K's library as a title with a standalone linear story, which was confirmed that it's linear, instead of no open world at all, nothing to explore, just the story, as opposed to the live service games offered by the publisher. And then the statement from 2K president David Ismailer says, "We think there's a large audience for compelling stories that don't require massive time commitments. We're excited to offer a game like Mafia: The Old Country in our portfolio and to provide a linear, highly polished narrative experience that can easily complement the other more persistent games our players also love and engage with on a more consistent basis." So, yeah, and then the president of Hangar 13, Nick Baines, said in a statement that Mafia: The Old Country is a focused, linear experience that combines quality storytelling, authentic era immersion, and a refined take on the familiar Mafia gameplay. That focus allows us to deliver a story that's gritty, grounded, brutal, and emotional. Embracing early 1900s era Sicily, this is a Mafia origin story that follows our protagonist Enzo Favre as he takes the oath and works his way up Don Torrisi's crime family, the oath being Omerta. That was me adding that part.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Like that sounds like music for my ears. Everything about it.
This and Yote are probably the two games the rest of this year that I'm most hyped for. And actually, I would put this above Yote. That's how hyped I am for this. I love Mafia.
And you're getting it earlier in August. So that August is gonna be, I'm gonna be feasting there with Mafia, Metal Gear, Shinobi.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll have
never mind. I lied. Metal Gear is by far the most hyped one. I keep forgetting about that for some reason.
Yes, and
hopefully we get early code for that one, and I can review Mafia. I'll do Mind's Eye in June and Mafia in August because I haven't done a review since Avowed earlier this year. And
yeah, you're having big gaps, and I'm having like writer's block right now with my Claroscure review.
Yeah.
So, and speaking,
I'm excited for this one because I just recently, as everyone knows, played through the Mafia games. They're interesting. I have a lot of mixed feelings on them, but I'm curious about how this one goes. There's just something about this setting and this approach to the game that I'm like, I think they may finally have an idea of what a Mafia game is supposed to be.
I feel out of the more modern ones, probably the first game is probably the definitive edition of Mafia 1 is the strongest one.
It is for sure.
The first one was always the best of the three.
Yes.
And the director, Daniel Vavra of Kingdom Come Deliverance and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Yes.
Just saying. Although he also made Mafia 2, which is garbage. So,
I don't agree with that at all. But
yeah,
to be fair, I did also play it when it first came out. So
did I. It was horrible then.
Joe hated it from moment one.
I've always hated Mafia 2. I hated Mafia 2 so much, Rick, that I didn't play Mafia 3 and had no interest in Mafia 1. And then I just last year was like, I have all of these for free for some reason. I'm just gonna go and play all of them, and that's what I did. And so I played 1, and I actually really, really, really liked the definitive edition of 1, and I ended up really enjoying 3 more than I thought I would, and I still hate 2. I still think 2 is terrible.
What's so
the story's pretty good, but the game itself is just terrible.
Yeah, what's so interesting is that I like the gameplay of 3, and you can see a lot of that cut over and post to the definitive edition of Mafia 1, including how he handled the gun. Even you see the way how they handle the gun, it's straight here in this one. That one, the open world structure, like what was required it was just such a pisser of to that game.
Which was
an AI upscaler?
Yeah, it pissed on the pacing of that game.
I know, I was making a PSSR joke.
I know. But just to make it clear, but it's like that. Mafia 3 had a great story, had a great character. It's just like that structure was so annoying.
It was a bad structure, no doubt about it. But meanwhile, actually, when you would do whatever you want to call them, the main missions, whatever.
It was great.
Those were awesome. Like that first one, when you're going through the amusement park, was so good. That was so. It's like, man, why did you lock this behind all this menial shit in the open world?
It made for a good podcast game, though.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. That thing is, it was mindless, but it's like for a game whose strength was a story. It more than the other one probably needed more that linearity to just go from story beat to story beat because
know what it needed, Alex, was a freaking save button because it's only auto saves. I just don't understand them. They never throw a save button in none of the games. You can save yourself. It's only auto saves in all 3 games. Why?
It doesn't really butter me not having a save button for this specific game.
It saves often enough. I don't really care.
It matters, but it matters in 3 because of the open world stuff, and you can have annoying things happen where you finally find a truck and you have to find another truck and you have to look, to destroy. It's just
the buggy.
Let me save in a big world like that. Let me save the game, please.
Sure.
Because you die on the other side of the map and you have to drive again to the other side where you died sometimes. Let me save anyway.
Yeah,
that's it for that. For that's all I have to say on Mafia: The Old Country.
Yeah,
can't wait. Excited.
And we have a few quick headlines. So, Clear Obscure Expedition 33 ships 2 million copies, and they've been like they've been very adamant that separating how much they've shipped slash sold versus the Game Pass numbers, which they say are also pretty good. I like that. Like in the ideal world,
they don't care about those that much.
Yeah.
So they don't care. They're not bragging about those though.
Yeah.
They're bragging about the sales.
Yeah, I feel like selling this much, knowing that you're given for free somewhere, which is technically in two platforms, it's still pretty impressive because that's like the strength of the word of mouth of this game. Like the Steam DV of like kind of like the concurrence, it's like you can see the word of mouth. This game is like really strong that it just like continues to like wave up and up and up like in interest. And happy for them. Like for a small team, that's like the dream. Like in 2 million, you're already swimming in the dough.
Oh yeah.
Other headline: EA reports no plans to increase game prices despite the move from Microsoft and Nintendo. How long will that hold true? Nobody knows. Probably until next gen.
Instead, they'll just close Codemasters.
Yes.
Didn't they do that already?
Yeah, they folded them.
As they didn't technically close them. Like the team that does the F1 games is still there.
Yeah.
The team that did the EA WRC
the rally
games, or
WRC,
yeah. And I love Dirt Rally and all that, which then became WRC. So this was infuriating news for me.
It sucks. Like, it absolutely sucks because
that's genuinely like a legendary racing team that they closed.
Yeah, Dirt was amazing, and the EA intentionally like outbid whoever was bidding for Codemaster.
2K.
I think it was 2K.
2K.
Yeah, so it was like you outbid them and now you like folded them. It's like it's the same EA bullshit all the time. That they buy something and then they like run it into the dirt to then become like a support team or lose their identity and then they end up closing. So only Bioware has like withstood the test of time with them for some reason. Like, but everyone else has gone through the same fate. So next headline for Joe: The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is officially the third best-selling game of 2025 as of right now. Like the top two are Monster Hunter Wilds and Assassin's Creed Shadows. So it shows that Elder Scrolls is still pretty big, and I would say that
it's almost like they should release the games with more frequency.
Yes,
and people might buy them, and they would make money,
and not
they
make
had to
Fallout
sell themselves.
Games. Yeah, and not make the Fallout games.
Leave
and they wouldn't have
Fallout.
had to sell themselves to Microsoft. Oh no.
Yep. But yeah, happy for them. Like at least goes to show that they're still hyped for Oblivion, despite like any lukewarmness that may have happened after Starfield. So. Another headline: ex-Bungie developers create Team LFG and new PlayStation studio. So this is one of the studios that got spun off of like a incubation team that was over at Bungie when they were having like 5 different games that they were working on. And this is supposed to be kind of like a MOBA / meets Smash Brothers that from what people are in internal, from people that played it internally said that it's actually a pretty cool idea. And then Sony was like, let's spin it off out of Bungie and make it its own studio. We still need a live service game from someone, might as well from them, and put another of our single player studios in another of these games. Like that's all we know. They just gave it the name Team LFG. It's not let's effing go. It's like that's LFG for like looking for a group. So that was the reference. So final headline: Gears of War Reloaded. A remaster of the Gears of War remake has been announced and is coming to PlayStation consoles for the first time and Xbox and PC again. And you get this remaster for free over on Xbox and PC if you owned it.
Was it free or $10? I thought it was.
No,
it's free. It's free.
It's free if you have Ultimate. Yeah.
So if you have the physical edition of the Xbox version, you're screwed. But if you have the digital edition, it's free. Or just sign up for Game Pass and you'll get to play it. It's wild seeing Gears in PlayStation. It's like I saw it like in the store. I was like, this is insane. That is like that's 2 of the 3 of the burger, fries, and shake. So,
Gears and Halo absolutely should, like, if nothing else, those needed to stay in the walled garden, and that is a huge mistake. And also, like, I'm not going to criticize this. I have no problem with all the Last of Us, re-releases. But that said, there's a pretty good bit of inconsistency out there about that. I just want to point that out, but. This should have been the trilogy. I don't understand why they only did this. Like, it just do the trilogy, and then everybody would be rejoicing and happy. And instead, everyone's like, well, "This is okay," but like Ultimate does run at 60 with the whatever you call it, the frame rate boost,
and it had already Xbox One X 4K boost, so it already looks sharp.
Yeah. Like, I mean, this does look better. I'm not saying it doesn't, but like, it would have been way more substantial to have this plus a reloaded version of 2 and a reloaded version of 3. Like that is where it really would have been like, okay, this is a good package now. Even
I will say though that it would look pretty bad, Alex, if they released Reloaded for PS5 and then just didn't release it for like Xbox or PC.
Yes.
That wouldn't look great either. So if they if they're gonna port it over to PS5, they're gonna do the work to do it, and they're gonna make it available.
I agree.
It's gonna look a little bit better. That's really all that comes down
to me. To me, it's just kind of like that idea that you already did this. Like Ultimate Edition was this in 2015, and 2 and 3 have only been like stuck with a. To be fair, the 360 version got the 4K Xbox One X like resolution boost, and also got FPS boost. So they do work at 4K 60, but it's those 360 versions.
Right.
It's like people are wanting to play Gears 2 and 3 on PC at the very least, because
that's the other one is not having them on PC. That is the real part about it. That it's like, what were you doing with this?
So again, being one again, obviously you can see the scenario that they want to kind of like sparse this out, and then eventually we're gonna Gears of War 2 Reloaded, then Gears of War 3 Reloaded. They're gonna get $120 out of like the PlayStation people that keep buying this. And to be fair, it's $40, and it also includes the multiplayer. If there's something that I will always criticize the Last of Us Part 1 remake that we got on PS5 was that it was $70 and the multiplayer was gone because they were working on the thing. So in that comparison, it's like at the very least, like I'm gonna give it like that slight edge to
I'll
Gears of War Reloaded with that, because it's still the full package. Yeah. And a lot of people are making the joke like, PlayStation people, if you play the online multiplayer and you see if you're gonna go against a player that's all Mexican flags, go away. You're gonna get murked. Like,
what are Mexican players like Mexican really good at it or something?
Mexican players are like de facto like super top tier Gears of War players. Similar,
really?
Yes, they're like the most hardcore of hardcore. Like in the multiplayer space, like they're legends. Like if you're playing against,
so random. Like
yes,
like I can't think of too many like even esports that Mexican. I mean, not saying there's not good Mexican players, but like that Mexico's like a powerhouse. Like usually you're looking at more like Brazil is where you have like powerhouse country of things.
Yeah, but it's actually Mexico, and I think it's because
weird.
I think it's because of Dom Santiago, and it's so funny as and Steve Sposito from SG like specifically mentioned this. Funny that you announced this on the Monday of Cinco de Mayo.
I didn't even think about that until as you were saying that sentence. I'm like, wait, this week was Cinco de Mayo, wasn't it?
Yeah, they announced it right that day. So it's like racist. Time for the release dates. Joe, read them.
All right, release dates for May 11th through May 17th. Here we go. Labyrinth of the Demon King comes to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on May 13th. Palia comes to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S on May 13th. Void Sales comes to PC on May 14th. American Arcadia comes to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on May 15th. Doom: The Dark Ages comes to PS5, Xbox Series X and X, and PC on May 15th. Marvel Contest of Champions comes to PC on May 15th. Preserve comes to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on May 15th. And the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 comes to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on May 16th.
Cool. And no game on the 17th. And when this episode posts, we will see the reviews of Doom: The Dark Ages. Their embargo is on the 9th, so they're giving it a full week of embargo, so that bodes really well.
Early access on Monday, though.
Yeah.
Early access is on the 13th.
Mm-hmm. So that will be, when is the 15th? When does the 15th land?
15th is Thursday.
A Thursday. Okay, yeah. So, and then the Tuesday early access. So if you're on Game Pass, they usually kind of give you kind of like the little upcharge if you want to like pay that and play early. That's how I did it for both Avowed and...
I'm sorry, I said Monday. It's Tuesday. That's my mistake.
On Tuesday? Okay. Yeah. So Tuesday the 13th. Yeah, and the game comes out on Thursday the 15th, which is also one Brad Ellis's birthday. As he keeps mentioning in his streams. So he's probably going to play it on his birthday. So not much of interest for me this week. I mean, other than Doom. Yeah. Yes. And we didn't read the releases last week because of like time constraints. We made a joke about that on in our chat. But yeah, that's it for this week's episode of the X Button. Rick, where can people find you?
Which 4969 everywhere that people are. Steam, Xbox, PSN, whatever, Twitch, I see Twitch, Twitter, as well as Fridays, usually 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, spreading the nerd. One Alex Segovia will be there tomorrow as my co-host Clint is fornicating up in Boston with PAX, and I'm not at all jealous that he got to hang out with our buddy Soaking It. I'm not jealous even a little bit.
Why didn't you go, Rick?
I couldn't. Plus, I'm at the end of next month. I'm actually going down to North Carolina for a Rocket League thing.
Oh, go visit
Paul. Oh, is that where he's from? Really? I'm going to Raleigh. That's where this is. Yeah. So I've always wanted to go to one. There's finally one that worked for my schedule, so I'm actually pretty hyped. But yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah. And my bearded, lovely, sometimes annoying, but very earnest companion. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Joseph_Law_Russa on Twitter/X. You can find my writing at Season Gaming's website. Like I said, I haven't done anything since the Avowed one. I'm hopefully going to do Mind's Eye in 2 months, and hopefully going to do, or 1 month, and hopefully going to do the Mafia, the old country in 3 months. We'll see if we get codes for those, and I'll probably write something on them anyway, just to cover it for the site. And that's pretty much it for me right now. It's nice to be back with everyone properly, with a working microphone and a working computer, where I don't sound like I'm from 1998 when I'm talking. So that's a nice thing. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's it.
And you got that Mafia article that you've always been wanting to write. Now you gotta have a
I'll
gotta get
on
cooking on that one.
Yeah, I've got a lot to say on it, so I can. It's not like going to be hard to put something together. I just want to make sure that it's timed right for the interest in the game.
Yeah. And you can find me at _Rosegovia on Twitter, asegovia on Blue Sky, and my written content over at seasongaming.com, where I'm still trying to see how I'm gonna write this Clear Obscure Expedition 33 review. That is like a writer's block amongst all the discourse around it has kind of like messed up like what I want to say about the game, and I'm trying to compartmentalize. So it's taking a little longer for me, but I'm still review it. So look forward to that. Plus everything else I reviewed this year, from Eternal Strands, Monster Hunter Wilds, and Assassin's Creed Shadows, plus all the articles that I wrote around that. So look over there, and we'll see you next week. I think next week is Paul's gonna be here. It's gonna be me and Joe and Paul for next week, and then Rick will be. You'll see Rick and I next both on this Friday and next week as we continue.
People are gonna start talking, Alex. We're doing podcasts too much together recently.
Yeah, like this is gonna be our third one in a row, like tomorrow. But then also the Last of Us one for episode 5. Look forward to that next week. A lot of like more views than I was expecting out of the reviews. I'm like, the algorithm.
Really? I actually haven't looked, so I don't know.
I think more people have listened to those than normal episodes. I find that funny, like in recent times.
Has there been any hate comments from me yet?
Not yet, thankfully. Not that I've seen it.
I guess I can get a little bit spicy.
Have there been any comments?
Not that I could see it.
Oh, really?
But it's happening. We only have 3 more to go before the season ends. So. And a lot of dirty talk in this week's episode. I'll just say that because the episode was pretty dirty. Find us on those socials and enjoy the rest of this week and play some games. Try to not be too online to get like the discourse of Expedition 33 ruined for you, like my fellow hatted guy over here. Or just enjoy playing all the million games that are happening, or just go touch some grass because the summer is literally right around the corner. And
press X
to play. Hasta la vista, baby.